Hey everybody, Jeffrey Wilson here with the Wilson team at Front Point Mortgage coming to you with our Monday market update. Uh, the rates are becoming a little boringly stable the last month or so. I kind of looked at where the rates were today and last week, and I've seen pretty much a straight line where they keep coming back to as far as mortgage-backed securities. They go up a little bit, but they come back down, down a little bit, they come back up. So there's no real, it's kind of an artificial line that's being created, but for the last month or so, we're seeing the same rates. So 575 for Govies, 6125 for conventionals, 6 and 3/8 on jumbos. Nothing there new to report, but we did get some interesting news from last week's Fed meeting. The big news was that they left rates unchanged, but that wasn't the big news for me. What they mentioned at the end of their meeting was, or during the release of their information, was that they are going to make some changes to their balance sheet runoff, which doesn't sound like big news, but if you look back, it is big news. So during COVID, if you're not completely sure, I've made other videos about this, but if you're not completely sure what happened during COVID, the Fed decided to buy a large amount of mortgage-backed securities, and they called it quantitative easing, which I'm sure you heard, quantitative easing, because they wanted to, by doing that, buying up these mortgages meant that there was a for sure home for them, and as much as in many as we wanted to write in the industry. Because of that, the rates on those went down. The demand was a little different, and it lowered interest rates and stimulated the economy. People were pulling money out of their house, they were borrowing, and then they were spending, which was what they wanted. They wanted to stimulate the economy with borrowed money. Then in 2022, they wanted to reduce this massive balance sheet that they had accumulated in 20 and 21. So they stopped buying loans, and then the interest rates shot up. The market knew that that they weren't going to be buying these. The demand was lower and rates went up, and that's just kind of how it all works. If you understand supply and demand. So, but that was now 3 years ago, coming up on four in some ways. And over that long period of time, people have made lots of mortgage payments. They've refinanced, even though their rates were lower. People have needed to pull equity out of their property and pay off debt. So they've refinanced. So that balance sheet has naturally reduced. It's reduced significantly. And in this last meeting, the members of the Fed, majority of them, agreed that it was time for them to sort of bolster up that balance sheet again. And they've changed their policy to allow for the slowing of that runoff. They're not going to allow the treasuries to run off at the same pace that they have thus far, or excuse me, for the last 3 years. And so they're going to reduce that runoff from 25 billion down to 5 billion. That means that there's 20 billion dollars worth of treasuries that they want to buy back. So basically, what they're doing is they're starting to enact some of the behaviors that gave us a lower rate environment in 20 and 21. They're just not going to do it in a panic like they did back then. And that should stimulate rates. They're going to start doing that in April. And it's going to be good news for this. It should be good news for our industries to bring us under 6% and stabilize under 6% for a while. That's kind of the news I've been waiting for, and we got it. So, we saw a nice little movement in rates at the end of last week. But then today, the announcements came with the tariffs, and it's not going to cover all the countries that they were afraid it was going to cover. And so people are pulling money out of their bonds and treasuries, and they're putting it in the stock market and crypto. And since there's money coming out of the bond market today and going into the stock market's up, bonds are down. So all the little gains that we got at the end of last week due to that Fed announcement, we lost today. So rates are even again. So it's impossible to forecast what's going to happen because the Trump administration is giving us a lot of crazy on a day in and day out basis. Good crazy and bad crazy. I'm not political. It's just that's the way this guy operates, and love him or hate him. This week, new home sales on Tuesday. Mortgage apps coming out on Wednesday. Q4 GDP, initial jobless claims, and pending home sales coming out on Thursday. But the big day is the PCE report, Personal Consumption Expenditure Report, which is a really big report. And we're hoping that the year-over-year numbers are going to be in our favor. So we're going to see how that comes out. Please call me with any questions. I'm super busy. Refinances are going through the roof. Please like and subscribe our YouTube page so that more people will see it. And as always, I'm always here if you need anything. So please call me, text me, or email me. Again, this is Jeffrey Wilson with the Wilson team at Front Point Mortgage, where we are upfront and to the point.